All right, so welcome everyone to the Zoom room. Great to have you here, and welcome Vino for the first time. Welcome back, Elaine, for this live session, masterclass, where we'll be discussing today's quote. Is a quote that I send out every day, and a mind training lesson from A Course in Miracles. Oh, there's John. That's nice. So John's been a member for a long time, since June 2 years ago. Hi, John.
Hi, Joe.
Welcome back. Nice to see you.
Yeah,
you could join us.
You too. Hi, Elaine. Hi, Vino.
Yeah.
Hello, John.
Have you met
Hello.
Elaine yet or not?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. Yeah, Elaine's just sort of joined us a couple of weeks ago. She's going to do the course. John's also doing the course again for the second time. So you'll see quite a lot of him in February and March, we hope. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you'll get to know each other a bit better. And Vino is just joining us from South Africa to well, just have a look, I guess. Referred by Christine, who said she was going to join, but I'm not sure if she is. She doesn't seem to be.
She said she was joining. I'm just going to send her a reminder quickly.
Yeah. She might have the dreaded load shedding, I suppose.
Yes.
It's always a.
Sounds like a cup of tea.
Okay, so I'm just going to we're going live on YouTube. Okay, so that's all sorted. Let me just get the email up. I'll share my screen.
I'm just here for an hour, John. Then I'm going to go. But
yeah, so we're doing a power hour.
Good.
So that you can,
okay.
Yeah, there's a natural exit point after an hour.
Excellent.
Feedback from members that was a good idea. And then if you want to carry on, you can choose to. So yeah, if you can read the quote, maybe John, you haven't been here for a while, so if you can read the quote for us, make that a bit bigger. Is that big enough for you? It's
yeah, that's good.
Yeah, you can see that.
It is impossible to perceive anyone as innocent and still to perceive them as a body. Is this not perfectly consistent with the goal of pure formless awareness? The pure formless awareness is merely the result of letting the effects of sin go. So what was always true is recognized. To perceive an innocent body is impossible, for pure formless awareness is positive and the body is merely neutral. It is not sinful, but neither is it sinless. As nothing which it is, the body cannot meaningfully be invested with attributes of your true self or your ego, which is your belief in separation and separate self-concept. Either must be an error, for both place the attributes where they cannot be, and both must be undone for truth to be revealed.
So quite a bit in there.
There is, yes.
So he's telling us clearly that there is no reality and therefore no true identity in the body. So we must completely let go of identifying ourselves and other people as bodies to free ourselves from the belief in sin.
Yeah.
And remember that sin is just the belief that we and others have done something wrong. It is permanent, it's irreversible, and it's therefore punishable. So that's what sin means. And the body is associated with that, because the body confirms in our mind that we are separate. The body is the most obvious sign of separation that we live with all the time, isn't it?
Interesting.
So it's impossible to perceive anyone as innocent and still to perceive them as a body. I'll show you the original if that helps. I think the translation will probably be more helpful. The original says, It's impossible to see your brother as sinless and yet to look upon him as a body. So you can't see someone as innocent and also see them as a body, because the body confirms that separation has happened. You are separate from that person. They have a separate identity. Very, clearly from the body's perspective, the body's eyes tell you that that person is separate, because they walk around separately. They seem to have separate things they're doing. We all go our separate ways, do our separate things, have different, lives, live in different places. And the separation seems to be confirmed by the body, doesn't it?
Mm.
Yeah.
And yet he's asking us to question this and really consider whether it's actually true. And then he says, is this not perfectly consistent with the goal of holiness, which I translate as pure formless awareness? So holiness is just an awareness within your own mind. It's pure, it's formless, it's not associated with form. So by definition, it transcends the body. And it's pure, so it has no idea of sin or guilt or fear. There's no negative thoughts and emotion that contaminates it. For this holiness or pure formless awareness is merely the result of letting the effects of sin go, or forgiving sin. The result of letting the effects of sin be lifted. So what was always true is recognized. So when we let go of our identification with form and if you think about when someone has apparently sinned and you have a grievance against them, it's always about what they've done as a body, isn't it? They've usually said something or done something. And then you judge that as real, and you have a grievance against them because you perceive that it's really been done, and that they have an identity that you can now hold a grievance against, which then confirms that they must be separate. So sin and the body are clearly part of the same thought system. And then he goes on to say, to perceive an innocent body is impossible. For pure formless awareness, holiness, is positive and the body is merely neutral. So pure formless awareness is the absolute positive. It has a positive quality. It's the only thing that's real. Positive means real. The body is merely neutral. It is not sinful, but neither is it sinless. As nothing which it is, the body cannot meaningfully be invested with the attributes of your true self, Christ, or your ego, which remember is just your belief in separation, your separate self-concept. So you can't actually, because the body is not true and it's not real, you can't actually invest it with attributes of either self. Either must be an error, for both place the attributes where they cannot be. The body is false. So actually, it's nothing. What he's saying is it's simply nothing rather than something that can be endowed with anything positive or negative. Both must be undone for truth to be revealed. So he's asking us to go beyond the body, beyond misperceptions of the body, beyond projecting sin onto the body, into the truth which transcends it. And the truth is pure formless awareness beyond the body, in another domain that's beyond the physical, and beyond the belief in sin and guilt, that really underpins the whole idea of separation. So I'm gonna go into now in a little bit of detail. And the idea of sin and guilt create pretty horrific consequences if you believe them. So fear comes from it. Fear is the false expectation of punishment appearing real. So you believe you've sinned, therefore you must be punished, therefore you fear that punishment. Pain, well, pain and punishment go hand in hand. Suffering, any form of suffering is really a form of punishment for your sin. Sickness, another form of punishment. And ultimately death, which is the ego's ultimate punishment for your apparent sin of separation from God or perfect oneness. And so all of that, every scrap of fear, pain, suffering, sickness, death, any suffering whatsoever is caused by this idea of sin, all of which is a nightmare. So this is quite well illustrated in this diagram. It shows us how the belief in separation, or the ego, because that's all the belief in separation is, cause us to go out of our minds and descend down the ladder of separation into a state in which we think we are bodies and we believe that we're victims of a cruel external world that is constantly threatening our health, well-being, and very existence, or what we call life. So I'll just show you this view of it, look a bit sharper there. So this is a little snapshot of the really the metaphysics. It's a summary of the metaphysics of the course, which I'm just going to spend a bit of time explaining. John, you've seen this many times before, but hopefully you'll get something new out of it. Elaine, once or twice I think we've done this, and then Vino, so you're kind of diving in the deep end here, but it'll give you a good idea of what this teaching is all about. It's kind of a high level overview. So stick with it. And if you have any questions, please, anyone, just ask. So really what this teaching is saying is that there's ultimately only this blue circle, which is God, love, oneness, pure formless awareness, perfect love, truth, knowledge, being. There's the ground of being. There's many names for this. In the Hindu tradition, they call it the Brahman. It's the absolute reality, beyond which you cannot go. So you can't deconstruct that. That's the end of the road. There's nothing beyond this awareness. And then something very peculiar seemed to happen. It was an idea of separation that seemed to happen within this mind. And the problem was that the mind wanted that idea. We decided this was a good idea. We desired it. And our desire made it real. And then we believed it. And that belief we call the ego, which is also called consciousness. So when people talk about higher consciousness, actually, in course terms, it's just a reference to the sort of super ego, the top of the ladder of separation, so to speak. It's really the belief in separation in all of its forms, but it's the master belief. It's also called Satan in the Christian tradition, been called the demiurge by the Gnostics. There's many names for it. Universal mind, another name. Oh, there's Sally. So that is the consequence of the idea of separation believed. We now have this other mind, other entity going on in our minds, which causes us to believe, because all it can do is believe in separation. Hi, Sally.
Hiya.
It must believe in an individual identity. So it's in division and duality. That's what individuality means. Individuality, which is really a separate identity. So the ego splits itself into the separate identity and says, you've now got some other identity, a separate identity named, which is a nice acronym for sin. And you are separate for now from this pure formless awareness of perfect love. And that individuality then leads us further down the ladder. So each step we go, we take another step away from this awareness, and we're going down the ladder into hell, which I'll explain exactly what hell is, but we're going down into not a very nice reality. So underpinning the individuality that is the ego's belief is the idea of guilt and sin. So you have guilt for the sin of destroying this. So in order to have your identity, your separate identity, you cannot be one self anymore. Oneness must be destroyed in order for an individual self to be made. Do you see that? That's a very important point. And so because you think you've destroyed it in order to have this separate identity, which you've made real in your mind, you must believe, the ego must believe, that it has really done the impossible and destroyed God, love, oneness, pure formless awareness. It's actually pulled it off, and it's destroyed this, and it's now completely usurped it. And so there's this tremendous guilt in the mind for having done this terrible thing. The truth is that it can't really be done, but we've done it in our thoughts, so it becomes real to us, because that's what we believe, and our beliefs have power because our minds have power. But it can't really be done. You can never truly destroy your awareness, because that would mean the end of all life. There would be no awareness left. Well, quite evidently, there is still awareness. Otherwise, we wouldn't be having a conversation. There could be no life at all without some awareness. So it's actually impossible. You can't really do it. But the ego believes that it has done it, and that's the problem. So that creates this belief that you're going to be punished for this imagined sin, which we call fear. So fear is the false expectation of punishment appearing real. Again, a nice acronym. Or the false evidence, because the evidence that the ego shows you will give you evidence appearing real. But remember, it's all coming from false belief. The moment you think of separation, which is a false idea, and then you believe in it, everything that comes from that idea is false. That's really the key teaching of the Course in Miracles. So the guilt and the sin are false because there is no individual self. You never did destroy God. It's not possible. Therefore, the fear, which is the apparent consequence of guilt and sin, is also false. And the idea of a fearful, wrathful, separate, vengeful God that's going to punish us for our sins must also be false. You see, it all goes together. And then what got projected out from this guilt and sin and fear, which was pretty intense. So there's an enormous amount of thought that went into it. Intensity of thought and emotion got projected out into apparently this physical universe as what's known by cosmologists as the Big Bang. Massive projection of guilt and fear outwards to create this explosion of energy, which is just projected thought, which has been expanding ever since, and now we seemingly live in it. We literally went out of our minds the moment we projected out, and we still are out of our minds. As long as you think you're living in a body, you're out of your mind, quite literally. And this miscreated a physical universe, which is an alternate reality, in which the reality of now separation seems to be the norm. That seems to be the truth, doesn't it, in our physical universe? Because that was the sponsoring belief behind it. And what's laced into it is guilt and sin for this apparent terrible crime of destroying oneness. Fear, the fear of being punished, so the fear of attack, threat, guilt, sin, fear, and all of this gets projected out into this reality. And it's now populated by many different so-called forms of life, separate forms of matter and energy populating the universe, because that's what the ego does. It fragments, it separates. So you've got multiple different forms of so-called life wandering around, and now they're in relationship with each other, but they're in egoic relationships mostly. If they believe in the ego's thought system, then there's a lot of accusation, blame, attack. So all of that is really a projection of subconscious guilt to try and get rid of it. So what we're trying to do, because we don't want to be guilty, it's a horrible feeling, we want to project it onto someone or something else and say that they're the guilty ones. Then we're off the hook. Then they're the ones who are going to be punished by God, even though that makes no sense at all, because apparently in your mind you've destroyed God. But then this thought system doesn't make sense. It's actually insane when you analyze it, which is what we're doing here. When you really deconstruct it and look at it carefully, you can see just how insane it is. That these ideas don't make sense. They don't make logical sense. They don't actually make a logically cohesive thought system. But nevertheless, you believe in it, and these ideas are powerful, powerfully entrenched in the mind and all kinds of emotions that are possibly even more powerful that get stimulated. And so we go around and we're constantly seeking to offload our guilt onto someone or something else. So we project it onto them as accusation, blame, and attack of God, other humans, separate forms. Anything will do, as long as you can project it onto someone or something else, and someone else is to blame or something else is to blame. Even the weather will do, rather than you, because no one really wants to feel this guilt. So what the ego is trying to do is get rid of the guilt, but actually maintain the identity which gives rise to the guilt, and that's not possible. It's trying to kind of have its cake and eat it. So get rid of the guilt by projecting it, but you can still be a separate self without guilt, but that's not possible. So the Course's approach to all of this is to just get us to realize, what's really going on here, which is, in summary, this diagram, that this is all a projection of a false idea, that guilt and fear and sin and attack are not really true. They're false ideas of the ego. And now we believe that we really are individuals. We're in division and duality. And that's what individuals means. Stuck in a body. And we believe that we're victims of an unfair world. This world that we've invented seems to be very unfair. Fairness seems to be the exception rather than the norm. And so we believe that we're victims of this unfair, cruel world and living a helpless, enervated little life, which is another acronym for hell, of limitation, lack, loneliness, and suffering before our bodies die, all of which is not a very pretty picture, but you have to see it for what it is. If you want to sugarcoat this and try and make it sweet and nice, then yes, you're saying to us that it's not going to work. You're never going to get out. You're not going to be motivated to get out if you're down the bottom of the ladder, if you think that it's okay. Yeah, no problem, Vino. Hopefully you can stay with us. And I am recording this, so you can catch up on the recording. So in this, pretty dire situation, the ego is invented for us. There is an answer, and that answer comes in the form of this awareness, which hasn't left us. It's still in our mind. It's just buried. So this awareness of perfect oneness, which will reinterpret the ego's dream. So whatever the ego's projected out, it's reinterpreted by this awareness, which we call the Holy Spirit, just the remembrance of love or oneness. And it reinterprets all of this. So if you're seeing the effects of guilt, you're seeing someone attacking behavior, fear, guilt, sin, these things are common in this world. Then you reinterpret them and you remind yourself that these are not real. They're just illusory projections of a mind that's insane, and all of it is false. And that process, when we do that reinterpretation, the Course calls forgiveness or letting go. So you're letting go of your belief in all of this, right? This is a thought system based on one tiny mad idea of separation, which is false. That you can actually separate from your source. That's a false idea. But now that false idea gives birth to an entire thought system and another identity in your mind, another entity, which we call the ego, which is continuously now in opposition to this awareness. So the remembrance of love or oneness, which is the Holy Spirit, and this ego are continuously at odds. They don't agree on anything because they are speaking for opposite realities. And so yes, we're saying in this crazy situation where you've split your mind in two, which is the source of all duality, the only way out is to choose. You must choose against the ego, all of this red stuff, and the belief in separation, whatever shape or form it comes in. And You must choose for oneness. God, love, oneness, pure formless awareness. And that process of choosing is called forgiveness or letting go. And that's a transformational process that will gradually help us to climb back up the ladder. So if we believe we're a victim at the bottom of the ladder, it's not a very happy situation. But by systematically letting go of whatever shows up for us that's causing us any kind of pain or suffering, reinterpreting it through the Holy Spirit, we climb the ladder back up to this level, the thought of separation, which we realize hasn't really occurred in truth. So that's the ultimate goal, is to realize that this is just a delusion. It never really happened. So none of its consequences ever really happened. Then all of it is done, and you remain in your true awareness, where there's no pain or sorrow. There's just pure formless awareness of perfect love, and it's absolutely perfect. Nothing ever changes there. There's no suffering, there's no loss, because suffering and loss requires that something's changed. It continues to change. So you've got these two alternate realities that are based on two different ideas and two different thought systems, which don't reconcile at all. And that's really the key insight of the course. So you must choose between them, and that choice for the one over the other, to let go of the one and choose the other, that choice we call forgiveness or letting go. When you choose to let go of the ego, this whole red thought system down here, then you're choosing for this, because that's all that's left. So it's like cutting away whatever isn't true, and then what's left will be the truth. That's the approach. So it's like when Michelangelo was asked how he sculpted the David, he said, well, all I did was I cut away what wasn't David, and then David was revealed. So similarly, we cut away all of this rubbish, which isn't true, and then our true self is revealed, and our lives, it's really about letting go of all of what's false to reveal what's true. That's the proper focus. You don't have to try and become this, because you already are it. You simply have to let go of what's denying it. So you deny the denial of truth. You let go of the blocks to the awareness of love's presence, as Yeshua puts it in the introduction. And then you're back in truth. If you've truly let go of your belief in all of this, there's nothing left. Then you're free, and there's only this going on for you, which is then the state of non-dual enlightenment. There's only love, and you're only aware of love and pure formless awareness. And you probably won't last very long in a body, because when you're in this state, there's no need for a body and no need for a world. You've transcended the need for them. The need you thought you had was to express, the ego, go round and round in circles and in a very sort of unhappy state, trying to find some answers, trying to find happiness within this thought system. And yes, you're saying you never find it in this thought system, because it's insane and it's not designed to bring you happiness and peace. You have to look outside of it to what's beyond time and space, to a transcendent dimension in your mind, in order to find it. And that process of letting go of your mental and emotional attachment to this world, and then embracing this, is called letting go. And that's why we study it, forgiveness or letting go. And that's why the Art of Letting Go program has that title, because that's the key skill. If you can let go, so the blue arrows here are the reinterpretation of everything the ego has made from the perspective of perfect oneness. So you go back into oneness, you realize none of this is true, so you restore your mind into this. But then it goes the other way as well. So the Holy Spirit can actually reinterpret the events, the experiences, everything that you experience on the level of form, can reinterpret it for you from the perspective of oneness, which is going to bring you a lot of peace, because this perspective says nothing really ever happened at all. So sin and guilt and your whole individual self, none of these are true at all. fortunately. And therein lies our, our salvation or awakening, just to realize that none of this is true. Actually, the only thing that is true is this pure formless awareness of perfect love, as we call it, or God, which is ultimate awareness. Okay, so any questions on any of that? I mean, there's quite a bit in there, but if it's a bit mind-boggling at the moment, don't worry, because there's a whole program to help you to learn this. Jesus or Yeshua doesn't expect you to learn it overnight. It's a systematic process to actually learn this, not just intellectually, but learn it experientially, so that when it comes down to it and you're seeing the projections and they're coming into your life through people and relationships and events that are happening, then you can actually do this reinterpretation in real time and not get upset and not go into fear and anger and guilt and all of those nasty emotions, and stay clear, stay in this higher awareness, which keeps you fairly detached from it. It keeps you in a state of peace, and from that base state, love and joy are possible. And so your life becomes a happier, much happier dream. If your life is characterized by guilt, sin, fear, attack, hatred, anger, these things cannot make you happy. And Yeshua's saying the ego will never make you happy. So you must do the only logical thing and discard it, and accept another teaching from the Holy Spirit or awareness of oneness, which is true. Okay, so does that make sense to everyone? I hope. It's a little kind of that's a high level overview of what A Course in Miracles teaches. Maybe I'll just talk a little bit about that. Who's heard of A Course in Miracles? Bino? Preggy? Hi, Preggy.
Hi.
Yeah. Have you heard of a book called A Course in Miracles?
No.
Okay. So I'll give you a little 5-minute overview on it, just so you know what it's about. So that's sort of the metaphysics of it. That's the teaching. High level overview. It's a book which let me show you there. That's what it looks like. Big thick blue book. Which isn't the easiest book to read on your own, I have to say. I've done it on my own, but it's quite dense. The language isn't that easy. It's kind of quite high English, and it's long. There's a lot of material in it. It's 1,400 pages. So what I've done is designed a program where I've chunked it down, so you can get to do it daily. Do it in bite-sized pieces. So there's a lesson every day. It consists of a text. So there it is online. There's a text, which is just get this thing out the way. The text, which is the theory. So that's 31 chapters. There's a workbook, which is daily lessons. So that's really the application, the practice of it, which we'll go into some meditation now on a lesson. So you can get to experience one of these mind training lessons. There's 365 lessons, so it's meant to be done in a year. And then there's also a couple of other bits. There's a manual for teachers, which is a frequently asked questions. It's all in the form of questions and answers, as you can see. So that's like your FAQs. So you've got a theory, you've got a workbook, which is the application of the theory in practice. You've got an FAQs and a preface and some clarification of terms. And there's some supplements as well, which have subsequently been added. So a very profound teaching. It came to a lady called Helen Schuckman, who was a psychologist in New York City. How it came. So I'll just bring that up quickly just to give you a quick idea of how it came. So her and her colleague, a guy called William Thetford, were professors of medical psychology at Columbia University's College of Physicians and Surgeons in New York City. So they were academics, they were highly intellectual, they understood psychology, but as she says here, they were anything but spiritual. The relationship with each other was difficult and often strained. They were concerned with personal and professional acceptance and status. In general, they had considerable investment in the values of the world, so their lives were hardly in accord with anything that the Course advocates. This came about when they were on their way to another disciplinary hearing because of all the conflict in the department. And her boss, Bill Thetford, said to her, I'm just tired of this. He said, I'm tired of all the conflict and the drama. There must be a better way. And she agreed with him. Helen said, yes, I agree. And then, as she says here, 3 startling months preceded the actual writing of this book. So she got various dreams, descriptions of strange images, all kind of quite unusual experiences that she hadn't had before. And then one night there was a voice that just came to her and said, this is A Course in Miracles. Please take notes. And she didn't know what to do. So she phoned Bill, and he said, well, because he'd been familiar with some of her dreams and so on. He said, well, why don't you just write down what it says and bring it in the morning and we'll have a look. And what she took down, I believe, in that first night was this introduction, which I want to share with you, which is very, very profound. And that kick-started a 7-year process of scribing the course. So the voice identified himself as Jesus, Yeshua, as I call him because that was his real name, and he gave this course in answer to their request because they were looking for help, but also to answer the request of many people who are seeking the truth in this illusion of a world. And he gave it to people who were going to do something with it because they were academics. They took it seriously, and they scribed it properly, and they got it published in 1976 in 3 volumes: the text, the workbook, and the manual for teachers. So that's a bit of background to it. A very interesting way it came. It was quite miraculous. It got published miraculously because they didn't have the money, and then some guy just apparently sold some land and said, well, I've got exactly enough money for you to publish the first version in 3 volumes. So that's what they used the money for. So the whole process was quite miraculous, which I guess would be expected if it's a course called A Course in Miracles. Welcome, Lee, Kim, newcomers. I'm just going to carry on with the teaching. So I'm just going to read this very quickly. Well, I'll actually ask a couple of other people to read it, and then we'll go into a meditation. So that we get that done in an hour, which is what I promised. So this is A Course in Miracles. Who wants to read? Let's ask Christine. Would you read the first 3 sentences for us, please?
I think I'll ask someone else because I can't get the text on my screen.
You can't see it. Okay. Let's ask Lee. Lee, can you read for us?
Sure. Hi, everybody. This is A Course in Miracles. It is a required course. Only the time you take is voluntary.
Yeah. So just pause it there. What he's saying is that whether you take this course, being A Course in Miracles, or another course, any kind of spiritual program, spiritual path is the course that he's talking about, and it's voluntary. When you take it, so the time that you take for it, possibly that would be a good introduction of a word there. The time you take for it is voluntary, so you can take as long as you want. That seems to be your free will, but it does not mean that you can establish the curriculum, because the curriculum is set. If the truth is true, then can you see that the curriculum would have to be set? It's not up to you to establish that. It's only up to you to accept it or not when you choose to. So that's what he's saying in those first 4 sentences. Does that make sense? Okay, and then number 5 and 6. Let's ask Elaine to read that.
It means only that you can elect what you want to take at a given time.
Yeah.
Yeah. More?
And number 6.
The course does not aim at teaching the meaning of love, for that is beyond what can be taught.
Okay, so he's setting the parameters of it, saying, I can't teach you the meaning of love. That's this transcendent dimension in our it's the blue circle here. Can't actually teach you that because it's beyond what can be learned. But I can teach to remove the blocks to the awareness of it, which is all the stuff in red, the red boxes, red arrows, all that stuff is the blocks to the awareness of love's presence. So he's very quickly setting the scope of the course in the introduction, saying, okay, so this is the scope. I can't teach you the absolute meaning of love because I can't teach you that. No one can teach you that. That will arise when you're ready. But I can help you. I can teach you to remove the blocks to the awareness of love's presence. And love's presence is your natural inheritance. So you're just removing what's unnatural, what's alien in your mind, and that will reveal what's true. So it's very important to realize it's not a teaching and trying to become something more than what you already are. It's actually a teaching in becoming less of what you're not, letting go of what you're not to reveal what you already are. And this is in accord with many other spiritual teachings. The highest teachings all say you already are that which you seek. You just don't know it. So you just need to let go of the illusions that you hold about yourself. There's the idea of the illusion, Maya, in the East is a long established idea. You need to let go of that to then reveal the truth. Okay, so let's ask Kim to read. The opposite of love is fear. Kim, if you can read that.
Opposite of love is fear, but what is all-encompassing can have no opposite. This course can.
Just pause it there, because
Okay.
that's quite an interesting statement. I mean, what he's done there is he's actually talking about two different levels of reality, isn't he, in one sentence? So apparently in the first part of the sentence, the opposite of love is fear. So that's duality. You apparently have an opposite. He calls it fear, but it's all of this entire thought system of separation, fear, which is false expectation of punishment appearing real. If you believe in fear, you must also believe in guilt and sin and separation and attack, and it all goes hand in hand. So he uses a placeholder name for it in the course called fear. He's saying apparently there's now an opposite to love. So you experience it as opposite because that's what we think. So he meets us where we are in duality. Can you see that's the essence of duality? But then he says what is all encompassing can have no opposite. So then he takes you beyond the duality into this blue box, which is all encompassing, which has no opposite, in which all of this ceases to exist, in which duality comes to an end, and there is only a single awareness. So that's where he's pointing us. In one sentence, he does it quite a lot in the course. Takes you from the one reality to another in a single sentence. So it's a little bit mind-bending to start with. But once you get the hang of it, you start realizing that he's talking about two different levels of reality and trying to do that in words. And obviously the words can't really tell you what the other reality is. They can point to it. They can't give you the experience of it. Okay, and then this course can therefore be summed up very simply in this way. Let's ask someone else to read that. John, how about you read that first? Hi, Orly.
This course can therefore be summed up very simply in this way. Nothing real can be threatened. Nothing unreal exists. Herein lies the peace of God.
Yeah, which is it's one of those things you can meditate on for a long time. Nothing real can be threatened. Nothing unreal exists. Hi, Orly. Welcome. So
hello, hi, thank you.
nothing real can be threatened. What's he saying there? Anyone got any thoughts on that? Nothing real can be threatened.
Well, that nothing which comes from pure awareness or love can actually be threatened.
Yeah. So it's beyond fear, in other words. Opposite of love is fear, but what's all-encompassing can have no opposite. So it actually can't be threatened. So there is no fear. In other words, anything that seems to be a threat is unreal. It's unreal, it's an illusion. And so then the corollary to nothing real can be threatened is nothing unreal exists. Which sort of, you'd say that's stating the obvious, but he needs to state the obvious. So if it's unreal, then it can't really exist, can it? That's why it's unreal. It may have a seeming existence. All of this stuff seems to have an existence, right? So seeming existence, as opposed to real existence, is called an illusion. It's a seeming reality, but it doesn't have any substance because it's made from a false idea. So what's false then has no absolute reality. It's actually unreal. It doesn't exist. So nothing unreal exists. All this stuff coming from separation in the red arrow and the red boxes doesn't really exist. And nothing real, everything in the blue box and the blue arrows can really be threatened. So the reinterpretation of everything in the ego's thought system is just really applying this, but doing it in a very kind of rigorous, systematic way. Okay, so I've got a situation where, let's say, I've lost my job, and I'm financially stretched, and I'm wondering how I'm going to pay my bills. So apparently there's fear, but you apply this in that situation. So nothing real can be threatened. So my true being cannot really be threatened. Who I really am is beyond money and beyond any of these concerns of the world. And actually, the money and so on doesn't really exist in truth. And to apply that will give you the peace of God. Herein lies the peace of God. And the skeptics will say, well, how's that really going to help me? It's not solving the problem, is it? Because I've still got the problem on the level of form. But actually it does, because when we can do this and genuinely go into this awareness, this blue circle, then we're able to find solutions, miraculous solutions to these seeming problems, because the problem is no longer a problem in our mind. See, the problem is that we believe it's a problem, and so our belief makes it real. And then we keep experiencing the effects of that belief. And so Yeshua is saying to us, well, let's get to the core of the problem, which is your belief, and undo it there. And then very often what shows up in the dream is a change, something shifts. And it's what's happening on the level of form seems to change in a beneficial way, because you've let go of your idea that there's a problem. So it's actually a great problem-solving technique. It's very practical. Although the ego will tell you it's completely impractical, it actually works. And the miracles are these shifts in mind. When you change your mind and you reinterpret the dream, you change your mind, you change your belief, you change your perception. And then often, on the external level, on the exterior level of domain of reality, so this is a model, it's quite useful to explain this. You've got an interior and an exterior dimension of life, and then an individual and a collective. On the exterior level, that's everything that happens in behavior and form, performance outcomes, systems, everything we can see, feel, measure, and touch. That is just the exterior projection or reflection of what's going on inside. So Yeshua is saying to us, look, change your mind here internally, and then this will change. That's the most effective way to do it. And then that will feed back into your interior, your mind, and it will tell you that that was a good thing and that you're on the right track. And so the miracles are there to help you to learn this new thought system and to learn the truth of who you really are, that actually you are a divine being. You're beyond form, you're pure formless awareness, and nothing here can really threaten you. So your body and whatever's happening on the level of form can't really threaten your true nature and true being. And that's, in a nutshell, that's what enlightenment means, that you simply go and you rest in this transcendent peace, as it says here, the peace of God that surpasses the unreality of the dream. You realize there's really nothing that can threaten you. So you're completely peaceful, fearless, and operating in this domain of love rather than in the domain of fear. Okay, so that's a very quick overview introduction of the course. Any questions that sort of immediately strike you anyway, especially the new people? So we've got some members here who are quite familiar with this, but does that make sense, Preggy, or is Vino still with us? Vino?
Yeah, totally. I totally can identify with that. But a question would be, what actually drives us to the sphere? I'm thinking, is it our desires? Because for me, I think man minus desires is closest to God. I don't know if I'm on the right track.
Yeah, you are actually. So your question is, what causes us to come into the domain of separation, into an illusion?
Separation fear, yes.
Well, it's a desire, isn't it? We thought that thought was a desire for something else. We were bored. We went, well, there must be something else. We've been in this is heaven, or nirvana, as the Buddha called it. Nothing happens there. There's no action. It's just the same. Nothing changes, because it's just perfect. And so there was a desire for another experience in the mind, and that desire is then the source of all of this, which is suffering. So as the Buddha, pointed out 2,500 years ago, and it's become the second noble truth of Buddhism, desire, or craving, as he called it, is the source of all suffering. And it starts with the desire to be a separate self. That's the fundamental desire. So what we've got to do is become aware of that desire as it plays out in our lives and let it go. So no, I don't want to be a separate self in the situation. I want to be one self. So I want to let go of all of my ideas of separation, which are pretty deep-seated. That this is part of your self-concept. What we're talking about here is undoing a self-concept. That self-concept is the ego, the idea of a separate self. So it's undoing that through this reinterpretation, continuous reinterpretation of your experiences in this world. If you keep going back to oneness and saying, no, actually none of this is true, only oneness is true, in every situation that presents itself to you, especially the challenging ones, then you're learning that only oneness is true, aren't you? You're teaching yourself that. And you're undoing your desire for something else because you realize that actually you don't want it. Look at what it's produced. It's produced endless suffering, pain, misery, suffering, sickness, death. This is the ego's world. Now, why would you desire that in your right mind? When you understand that it's not desirable, it's actually awful. It's a horrific parody of creation, a miscreation of the mind that causes all the suffering, pain, and death. Then why would you choose it? Why would you desire it? You see. So that's what this is designed to get us to do, to relinquish that desire, because we realize it's foolish. Why would you desire pain? Why would you desire to be hurt? Surely the only desire should be for love. You want love, you want peace, you want joy. Well, if you truly want those things, then you must be willing to let go of the ego, which is your separate self-concept, because that can never bring you those. That's what this teaching is saying. So you must be willing to let go of your desire to be a separate self, which means that you no longer will be human, you no longer have an individual identity, you no longer have a body, and everything that goes along with a human life. You choose to let that go. And that's the ultimate enlightenment. That choice is the choice to become enlightened and transcend this world rather than to be in it. So excellent question. I hope I've answered it.
You have, thanks.
Practice is a process. The relinquishment of that desire is a lifetime process because it shows up in many ways. Let's say you desire a nice fancy new dress because it's going to make you look good. Now, that seems to be innocent, but actually, why do you desire it? Because you desire it because it's going to enhance your sense of being a separate self, isn't it? Because you want to look good, because you've identified with your body and how people perceive you, and maybe you want to attract a member of the opposite sex because you believe that that's going to improve your status and your self-esteem, and so on. And so it's actually about our self-concept. And if you really look at life through that lens, you see that most of what we do in this world is based on a self-concept. That's false. Marketers know this very well. They'll sell people things at ridiculous prices because people are buying their self-concept. Why would you buy a £1,000 bottle of perfume? Other than your self-concept tells you that's a good idea, because it's just scented water. So why would you spend so much money? I'm just giving an example, but you get the point. Why would you spend so much money unless you identified with it? So they know that if they can get you to identify with it, with your self-concept, then you'll spend people spend fortunes to perpetuate their self-concept. That's why they attach a self-concept to things. You watch these ads, and it's not about, oh, well, this is going to make you smell nice. The marketing is all about your self-concept, and they show pictures of a person in a situation, in a scene that's supposedly desirable, and they go, well, you buy our perfume or our whiskey or whatever it is, and you will be like this, which is a pack of lies. It's not true at all. But that's what marketers know. So we live in an illusory world that's based on this false self-concept, and so much of it is generated by that self-concept. And so awakening is starting to realize that. And then you can't be fooled by it anymore, and you can't be fooled by marketers or anyone who's trying to play to a false self-concept, because you go, I don't believe it anymore. So save your fortune, actually. just learning this, because you can't be fooled anymore. And you're not going to go seeking to buy happiness and satisfaction outside of you, because you realize it doesn't work. The only place you're going to find it is within your own mind, and that's free. You can find it right now for free. No strings attached. It's given to you freely. The only difficulty you have is you're not aware of it yet. So you've got to overcome the blocks to the awareness of love's presence, and that's a process. So it can be, there's a process to go through, and it can be helpful to be guided through it, through that process of really undoing this false self-concept that covers this over, which is what this course, A Course in Miracles, and the Art of Letting Go course is all about, in a nutshell. It's the art of letting go of the blocks to the awareness of love's presence, so that you can become aware again of love's presence, which is what you really are. So very straightforward. It's a simple teaching, but to actually do this in practice is the difficulty. Okay, so any other questions on that? Just a short, pretty short teaching. If you're interested, then join us in our ongoing studies. So I'm going to offer everyone who's here, who's new, a free trial. You can join us for the next 3 weeks, anytime. We study this 6 days a week online. There's a lesson every day. So I'm just going to dive into that quickly. There's a daily lesson, which is lesson 351 today. So that's the lesson. And so we study that. We read it together. It's mind training, ongoing, the same message, just over and over again. So that's today's lesson, which I thought we could just read quickly and then meditate on. So it's quite short. So yeah, to learn this thought system is requires a lot of mind training, because it's totally different to the way you've probably been taught to think. And that's why we have, Jesus has given us daily lessons to practice actually thinking this way. It's like practicing a thought system through through listening to, reading, reflecting on these lessons. And he gives us some little mind training exercises to do in the first part of the workbook. We're now the tail end of it. So there's 365 lessons. We're at lesson 351. So we're at the very end of the program. We're going to be restarting again from day one on the 5th of February. So that's a good time to get involved and start this whole process from scratch if it resonates with you. Okay, so I thought let's have a little read of this, and we can do a meditation on it. How does that sound?
The 6-week course starts on the 1st of February, though, doesn't it, Jono?
No, the 5th of February.
Oh, so everything is starting on the 5th of February then?
Yeah, 5th, yeah. So the 5th of February is it's a Sunday, right? I've done it on a Sunday to Sunday, so it doesn't matter what the when we started. It's formatted on the week. So we start Sunday, and then it goes. We do.
Okay.
Start from day one. Lesson 1 actually only comes on day 8 because the first week is an introductory before we get into the lesson. So that's how it's structured. So it's really an introduction into A Course in Miracles, as well as some other teaching around it. But the core of it is this non-dual teaching, and then I guide you through a transformational process that's really about seeing your own ego. What is that false self concept, and to a large degree letting it go, certainly becoming aware of it, letting it go, and then you might want to continue after the 6 weeks in that process, because it's a lifelong process of mind training and correction. So we've got 2 weeks to go of the main program that we're busy with. Then we get to the end, 365, and then we start again. And as I said, Vino and Preggy and Lee, if you'd like to do a free trial and just jump in, join us for these live sessions for the next couple of weeks. And then the first week of the course, you're most welcome to, starting from tomorrow. No obligation, no strings attached. Just try it and see how it goes and see if it resonates, and you can fit it into your schedule. So the live calls we do, going to be doing once a day until the 5th, and then twice a day from the 5th, normally at 12:30 UK time. So that's 2:30 South African time, and then in the evenings in February we'll be doing them at 6:30 UK time. So that's 8:30 South African time in the evenings. Each session will last maybe 1.5 to 2 hours, depending on how much we've got to cover. But if you have to leave before that, you can, and all of it's recorded, so you can catch the recordings as well. So there's a lot of material available, and you choose to do what you can. Okay, so that's a little bit of background about the course and how it works. So shall we just read the lesson to get a sense of what we do, and then we can go into a meditation on it. Okay, so who would like to read? You can read the main lesson, and then we do an alternative, so translated version, just to make it easier. Some of the language really benefits with a bit of translation. So let's ask Christine, can you read the screen or not yet? Not really.
No.
Okay, well, let's ask someone else.
But there it is.
How about Orly? Orly, will you read for us, please? My sinless brother is my guide to peace.
My sinless brother is my guide to peace. My sinful brother is my guide to pain, and which I choose to see, I will behold. So alternatively, my innocent companion is my guide to peace. My sinful companion is my guide to pain, and which I choose to see, I will perceive.
Which is, so true. I had an experience, recently where there was an apparent sin that I had to forgive, and you notice when you go into the ego, it really does feel painful. And as he says here, if I see him sinful, who's my brother but your holy son? Who is my companion but your holy aware extension? And if I see him or her sinful, I proclaim myself a sinner, not a son of God, alone and friendless in a fearful world. And when I read that, I was like, yeah, that's actually exactly how I felt in that moment. You feel alone and friendless in a fearful world when you're in a misperception of sin and guilt, and you're seeing that in your brother. So he's just telling us what this idea of sin does to our minds, and what it does to our state of mind and our happiness, very clearly, which is hugely helpful. I haven't seen another teaching that points out in such direct terms, the destructive effects of this belief in sin. Remember, sin is just the idea of error made real, permanent, and punishable. So in your mind, this is now this is an error that is unforgivable. This person has really done this, and they're actually condemned for it. They're evil, they're sinful, they're guilty, they deserve to be punished. Maybe you'd like to punish them, or someone else should punish them, or God should punish them, and you feel very separate from them, don't you? And we've all done this, so we know how it feels, and we feel alone and friendless. We feel separated, we feel isolated, we feel abandoned in a fearful world. It's not a happy state to be in, that's for sure. And he's saying this is the consequence of believing in sin and perceiving your brother as sinful. Which then, once you understand that, well, you can change your mind, as he says. Yet that this perception is a choice I can make. Let's ask someone else to read. John, will you read? Yeah, this perception is a choice I make.
This, I should have lost the place now.
Okay, number 3. There we go.
Oh yeah. Yet this perception is a choice I make and can relinquish.
Yeah.
I can also see my brother sinless as your holy son.
Yeah, and then just read the translation below. So just for the benefit of people who knew, what I've done is translated it below into an alternative language that a lot of people find more helpful. Some people like the original, that's fine, the original's there. But it's designed, the alternative is designed to help you to understand maybe a little bit more deeply what's being said in the original.
Okay, so yet this perception is a choice I make and can let go. I can also see my companion as innocent and your wholly aware extension.
Yeah, so your holy son is your wholly aware extension. So, we're not really a son. We're talking about a mind. This is all on the level of mind. We're the extension of this one mind that is, we call love. And when we accept that, then we must accept that we're innocent, because love is completely innocent. And we are wholly aware of our true nature of love. That's what holy means, wholly aware. Not in a separated state of mind. And so we feel extended. We feel like we are an extension of this infinite love, which is the truth. We are. We block that extension when we believe in a separate self. And that is the whole problem. And that's the problem that this course is designed to address. That block to the awareness of love's extension, which is your self-concept, must be done away with. You must let that go in your mind. As he says, yet this perception is a choice I make and I can relinquish or let go. So he's telling us that perception is a choice. It's not a given. It's a choice, and that choice is based on our beliefs about ourselves and about the world. So I'm just going to share this diagram. This is an instrument for peace. worksheet actually, which is very effective to help you work through issues. But it shows you at the beginning the levels of mind. So you've got perception at the top level. Now, most people think perception is caused by the external world. Oh, something's happened to me, so therefore I'm upset because XYZ happened. This person did this, said this, didn't do this, didn't say this, etc. So I'm upset because of that, right? But that's actually not true. But they're upset because they have a core belief in scarcity and lack and limitation. And that belief has now been triggered by the external situation. And so now they have a thought based on that core belief. Let's say someone has attacked them verbally. So they have a core belief that they're actually not good enough. They're not really worthy. So that core belief is triggered, and they feel angry. So their thought is, well, how dare you? How dare you say that? I'm very offended. They have an emotion of upset. They feel attacked. They feel wounded. They feel angry. They feel resentful. They want to attack the person back. And then their perception is made up of those thoughts and those emotions. And they perceive themselves as very separate from the person. They're not very happy. They may be plotting revenge. They, plotting what they can do to get their own back, and so on. And so their reality is made up, can you see, of belief, thought, and emotion. But this is all hidden, and what they will believe, the ego is telling them that, I'm just upset because this person treated me badly. And I have every right to be upset because look at what they did to me. Without recognizing that it's actually their own core belief and thoughts and emotion that are the real problem. See? So this is an inside-out process. It's about going and saying, look within and find the cause of any perception in your mind. Realize that it's the result of belief, which is part of your self-concept. And then you can change your perception by changing your belief. See, change your core belief. You change your thought, because thought comes from core belief. Change your emotion, and then you change your perception. So when he says, this is a choice that you can make, and you can let go. Yes, you can, but it involves going much deeper probably into your mind than you used to. You can't let it go just on the level of form. You have to be willing to go through the layers of emotion, thought, and belief to get to the core, beyond that, which is the desire or the prayer of the heart. So do you still desire to be a separate self, or do you want to be one self? That's really the question in any situation calling for a decision. Who do you want to be in the situation? And therefore, what do you believe? What do you think? What do you feel? What do you perceive? So you see how it works. So what we're trying to do with this process is get through just the layer of perception and go much deeper, go through the layer of emotion to thought, then to core belief, and then to the desire or prayer of the heart. And that's where you change your mind. The miracle happens at that level when you change your mind there. You say, no, I don't want to be a separate self. I don't want to be a victim thinking I'm unfairly treated. That's my belief. I want to be one self. I choose to be who I really am. That means I'm one with that person. I'm not separate from him. So I can't believe I'm unfairly treated if I'm one with him. You see? And so then you've changed your mind fundamentally. You change your belief, your thoughts change. You go, well, actually, it's okay. I'm not angry. I'm not upset. I don't have to have these negative emotions. And I perceive the situation completely differently. It's a 180-degree turnaround. Instead of being angry and upset, I'm quite peaceful and I'm okay. And actually bless that person. I'm sending them love. And that's what the miracle does. And we do this mind training to train you to do this, to go through these levels of mind, be able to do the change at the core level, and then ripple it all the way up into perception. And you can do that in a matter of minutes, maybe even seconds, depending on how good you get at it. But certainly you don't have to linger in a false belief for more than a few minutes once you know how to let it go. And that's what the art of letting go is all about. Okay, so back to the lesson. So number 4, I can also see my companion as innocent and your wholly aware extension. So you have that choice always. And when you see them as that, you cannot see them as that unless you've changed your mind fundamentally. You can't maintain the ego's belief in scarcity, lack, loss, separation. You know, I'm not good enough. I'm not worthy of love. You can't maintain that belief and still have a perception that the person is innocent and is really the same as you. It's not possible. You must change your core belief about who you are, and that's really the whole point. So you're changing your self-concept when you do this. I'm going to show you another diagram very quickly. So this is the Holy Trinity, which explains what the Holy Trinity is quite well. So it's this, you know, triune. There's three parts to it: Father, God, which is the ultimate source. This is pure formless awareness of perfect love in our language. It's the ultimate experience. There's nothing beyond that. Okay, so it's the infinite, absolute, eternal nature of your being. But while we're in a dream, which we seem to be caught up in, what's pretty useful is to have this idea of a true self, also known as the Christ, or Son of God, or extension of love, or in the East it's called the Buddha or the Atman. It's a sense of a higher self that is one self. So this self doesn't say I'm a separate self. It says actually there's really only one self. We're just masquerading in different bodies, but there's only one of us. So what it does is it unites you with this awareness, because oneness, one self, unites you ultimately with pure formless awareness of perfect love, or oneness, where you just have that experience, and that's the only experience you have. But what the Christ, or the true self, can do is it can perceive correctly. So from its true belief in oneness, it now has true perceptions to ripple up all the way through the mind. Yeah, so from the true self, you now have true beliefs, thoughts, emotions, and perceptions. And so you have what's called Christ vision. That's called miracles, or forgiveness, or letting go, also called surrender in some spiritual circles. Acceptance is another term, salvation, at-one-ment, enlightenment, awakening. It's a process of changing your mind. And you do that by changing your perceptions. But when you change your perceptions genuinely, then you must also have changed your belief about who you are. And that's your self-concept. So it's changing from the ego's self-concept of a separated, very limited, narrow, self-interested self, governed by guilt and fear and sin, to this Christ self that realizes it's one self and it can't really be threatened, because it's an eternal concept. Nothing the ego has done has ever threatened it. And that now perceives, with the help of the Holy Spirit, so the blue arrows of the Holy Spirit, or remembrance of perfect love, that now perceives correctly what you're seeing. All events, places, circumstances, people, situations, trauma, successes, failures, and all experiences that seem to exist and happen in the physical universe of time and space are perceived correctly from this awareness of the Christ, the one self, which the more you do that, that's going to connect you with this experience. More and more this awareness, pure formless awareness of perfect love, will arise in your mind, the more that you perceive correctly. So the Holy Spirit, which is the process of reinterpreting separation to oneness from the Christ self, leads you back to God. That's what it is. So it's an operating system for your mind. That's what the Holy Trinity is. It's designed to help you to get out of the illusion of separation, to get out of your ego and return your mind back here. So that's all that exists for you. And in which state there is no need for Christ or the Holy Spirit. Those are only needed in illusion. But they are very useful ideas while you're here. They're like the bridge. You know, you've got to cross this chasm. You can't cross the chasm in one go. You need a bridge. And the Christ self and the Holy Spirit, the Christ self is like the bridge, and the Holy Spirit is like the guide that's going to lead you across the bridge and say, okay, I'll take your hand, and step by step, we're going to do this together, and I'll get you to the other side, where ultimately, you know, you've crossed the bridge. You're not going to go back. You don't need the bridge anymore. It's not necessary. Once you've got to the destination, the bridge, the road, the signposts are not necessary anymore, are they? Because you've arrived at the final destination where there's no journey required. Yeah, any questions about any of that? I mean, I'm just diving quite deep into the teaching, but it's giving you a good overview of what it is. And then, if you'd like to continue studying it so that this becomes something that you can actually operate yourself, then please join us on our ongoing journey. Okay, with this choice, number 5, someone else want to read that? Let's ask Kim. Kim, you still around? If you can read.
Yeah.
With this choice.
And with this choice, I perceived our own innocence, my eternal comforter and friend beside me, and my way home clearly and certainly. So then choose for me through your voice, my source, for it alone judges everything from the perspective of perfect oneness.
Okay, any thoughts on that?
I think it ties into what we were saying earlier, when your perception is around everyone's innocent, because you're connected to Christ's self. Our own comforter and friend beside me, my way home clearly and certainly is that spirit, Holy Spirit, comforter and friend.
Yeah, comforter and friend is this voice in your mind. It's the remembrance of this love. It says to you, not alone. This love is always there. Your true awareness is still there, and it can guide you in your dream. So although you seem to be in this pretty challenging place where things are always going wrong and the ego seems to be in charge, this comforter is eternal. It's within your own mind, and you can always go there and draw upon it because it's within you. It's within you. It can't be taken away. And your way home is your way back to the state of mind where there's only love. So the remembrance of perfect love, which is the Holy Spirit, reminds you of love continuously, and its job is to bring you back home into the awareness of perfect love, and only that. Quite simple, really. You're remembering it, and then eventually you're back in it completely. So you want to look at it in diagrammatic form. You remember it and you remember it. So that's the process of reinterpreting through the arrows. And that leads you back into that state. Whenever you remember, you go back into that state of mind, because that's all it is. And the more you do that, the more you're teaching your mind that is its natural state. That's your home. That's where you rest. That's your true nature. That's your true state of mind and being. And when everything else, the desire for everything else is relinquished, you really don't want any of this. There's nothing else you need. You don't need to come back and have another experience in a physical universe of time and space. Your mind just remains in this state eternally. That's enlightenment. Then we're done with the dream, the human condition. We're done with all pain, suffering, sickness, and death. And we remain, in this state eternally. Which is what all the great teachings and great masters, spiritual teachers, are pointed to. A transcendent dimension. It's called the perennial philosophy. The idea that there's another world, another reality, transcendent reality that's beyond this world, is the fundamental teaching of all great spiritual teachings. And that we can access that, we can find that in our minds right now. In fact, now is the only time we can find it, because in the past and the future, that's obscured. Now is the closest approximation to eternity that we have. So hence it's the perennial philosophy. Every spiritual teacher and teaching throughout the ages has taught this and said there's something else. And you can find it within your own mind. You can't find it outside of you because it doesn't exist outside of you. It's formless. It's timeless. It exists within you in the domain beyond form and time, which is in your mind. So this internal domain, as it's shown, I'm just showing you a number of different views of this. You go to the integral model, it's the internal, individual interior domain. In your own mind lies heaven. But you have to get beyond the false values, priorities, motivations, and beliefs of the ego to find it, to experience it. And that's, the undoing of the ego. And that's why it seems to be difficult. because we constructed something that covers it over, a veil of illusion that covers over the truth, and this is the process of revealing it. Okay, so let's go back to the lesson. Yeah, it's a very short and sweet. These final lessons are very short. They're just a very short pointer, and then very much like the sutras of ancient India, just a very short, sweet pointer, using words to point us into a state of mind, a state of being where you just get this in a non-intellectual way. So there's an experience that goes with it. So speaking of experience, well, any questions, anyone, on this first? Otherwise, we'll go into a meditation on this.
So, Jono, they don't see the lessons don't have that second paragraph.
Yeah, he's removed that. Because we're going to the, basically he's taking us to a point where he's saying, look, words aren't really necessary anymore. These are just pointers to a state of mind that's beyond words. So he's cutting down the need for words. Because the first lessons, the first part of the workbook, some of the lessons are quite long, you know, page, 2 pages. Some of them, I think there was one that went on for 4 pages. Because he's trying to kind of unwind your mind for you and work, you know, work with you to do that. But in these later lessons, he's saying, well, you just need these little pointers to point you into an experience of your own innocence, your own sinlessness, your own pure formless awareness, and then just use this lesson as a kind of pointer or guide to get you there. And then just rest there. You know, in the end, it's an experience that's beyond words. So yeah, there's no second paragraph in these last 15 lessons for that reason.
Okay.
Any other questions? Does the teaching kind of make sense? I mean, I've kind of dived into it for those who knew. So you've got an overview, but if it makes sense and you'd like to, you know, advance in this, then, you know, that's what the this course is all about. It's to help you to do that systematically and progressively, because you're not going to learn this overnight. To really accept this at a deep level, to really undo your self-concept, it's probably a lifetime's work, because it's so deeply entrenched. So, but you know, you just do it in bite-sized chunks, day by day, moment by moment. And the benefit of it is that you feel better immediately in the now. You feel better, you feel more peaceful, happier. You're able to cope with situations that, you know, life comes along with challenges and challenges. You're able to cope with all of that better. So it improves the quality of your life now, as well as, you know, you're working towards the ultimate enlightenment or salvation, which will come, you know, when you reach the end of your life, or maybe before, don't know. But you know, there's a process to this, and that's fine. Yeshua's saying it's fine. You know, there's a process, and I'll meet you where you are, and you know, time you take is up to you. I'll always be there, so you'll learn as quickly or as fast as you're capable of. So we're all on our journeys to learn this universal curriculum, which is very comforting. And he uses the words eternal comforter and friend beside me, my way home clearly and certainly. So I perceive my way clearly and certainly, that it's you know, I'm guided. I can't really fail. There's no doubt once you access the power of the Holy Spirit, because it's telling you that it's a done deal. You already are that, and it's just a process of reminding yourself of what you are. In the temptations to not remember. That's all that's really going on here. You know, the ego shows you the illusions, something that denies love, and then, you know, your remembrance of love says, no, that's not true. I'm going to let that go and return my mind to perfect love. Okay, so any other thoughts, comments, or questions on the lesson? So it's a good one. Okay, so shall we do a meditation on it? I think that would be nice. And then for those who want to stay, there's another 5 paragraphs to read on what am I. But I want to do the meditation first in case people have to leave. So just making yourself comfortable. Put your phone or computer on mute. So sitting comfortably, your feet shoulder width apart, back straight. Cup your hands in your lap. Close your eyes. And start off by taking a nice deep breath in through the nose. So breathing in, noticing how the stomach rises and the chest rises and the subtle flow of air in through the nostrils. Clench your sphincter muscle. That's the muscle used to lock the energy in. Muscle used to squeeze the last drops of urine out. So just squeeze that. You lock the energy in. You draw the energy up the spine. Feel this warm wave of energy rising up from the base of the spine into your heart center. Put one hand in your heart to connect with your heart space. Just breathing in. This awareness, light. I'd like to visualize light. You can do that. Draw it all the way up, the breath, the light. And this warm, tingling wave of energy rising up the spine into the crown of your head. Another sip of air in, pause at the top of the inhale. So now just scan your mind. Check in, notice what's going on in your mind, thoughts, emotions, body sensations happening for you. Particularly anything that feels negative or limiting, contracted or constricting, and that'll show up usually in the body. Maybe it's just a subtle kind of knot somewhere, tension in your neck and shoulders, maybe a clenched jaw, maybe butterflies in your stomach, the extreme, nausea, sweaty palms, panic attacks. These kinds of physical reactions can come just from emotions, just from fear. So just notice all of that, breathe into it, creating some space, some light, some awareness around it. And now you're going to choose just to let it go. So you're going to exhale, just blow it all out. The breeze of your breath, letting it all go with the nothingness, to the nothingness that it really is. Pull the lower stomach into the spine, expel the last remaining air out. So using the breath to help you to really let go. And then you just rest here in peace and stillness. For a few moments. Nothing else to go, nothing else to do. Nothing else to think about. And just breathe. So nice, deep, slow, rhythmical breaths in and out through your nose. And you just observe the breath. Just watch the breath flowing into your nostrils and out of your nostrils. There's nothing else to do, just observe the subtle sensation. Brings your mind into the present moment, stops the mind, empties, opens the mind to receive, like an empty vessel. If a vessel is full, you can't receive, but if you're empty, then you can receive these divine words. So listen to these words. I'm actually going to read you teaching on what am I. So do it in a meditation. So listen and just try and feel into the words. It's about feeling their power, feeling the emotions, the states of mind really these words bring about. So it's experiential, not just intellectual. So this is an answer to the question, what am I? Just keep watching your breath to stay in this nice, calm, clear, empty, open, spacious awareness. Say, I am God's son, or I am perfect love's extension, if you prefer alternative language. Perfect love's extension, feel that extension coming through you as you say it. Complete and healed and whole, shining in the reflection of his love or its love. In me is this creation sanctified and guaranteed eternal life. So its extension, this perfect love's extension, is sanctified and guaranteed eternal life in me. I become a vehicle, a mechanism for the experience of this eternal life. In me is love perfected, fear impossible, and joy established without opposite. So he's talking about a non-dual state. Love is perfect. Love is perfected, fear is impossible, and joy is established without opposite. So just breathe all of that in. The love, the peace, the joy. Breathe it into every pore, every cell, every muscle of your body, every part of your mind, every fiber of your being is in the love, in the joy. And you just allow yourself to experience it for a few moments. And say, I am the holy home of God himself. I am the wholly aware home of perfect love itself. So this is my natural state. I am the heaven where his love resides. I am the state of pure formless awareness in which perfect love resides. Feel that. And now you're just resting in this deep peace and stillness. I am his holy sinlessness itself. For in my purity abides His own. So translated, I am its wholly aware innocence itself, for in my purity lives its own. So all the innocence, the purity, the love, the joy that come from our source is also yours, because you are its extension. That's logically consistent. I hope you can see that. So if you are the extension of the source, then you must be like the source, otherwise you could not be its extension. So he says our use for words is almost over now. Yet in the final days of this 1 year, we gave to God pure formless awareness of perfect love. Together, you and I, we found a single purpose that we shared, and so you joined with me. For what I am, you are as well. Truth of what we are is not for words to speak of nor describe. Yet, we can realize our function here, and our words can speak of this and teach it too. We exemplify the words in us. So we can realize our function here. And if we live by the words in us, words can speak of this and teach it too. So just listen to these words and try and feel into them. Just feel into these words. Just breathing nice, deep, slow, rhythmical breaths. Keep your mind nice and empty, calm, clear. To be able to bring in this divine energy, to be tapping into with these words. Now bringing a frequency of energy into your awareness. Signpost back home to source of that awareness. So therefore we are the bringers of salvation. We are the bringers of freedom into this world. We accept our part as saviors of the world, accept our part as in the awakening of the world, which through our joint forgiveness is redeemed. So through our joint letting go, when everyone lets go, we free the world. And this our gift is therefore given us. So as we give, we receive. We look on everyone as a companion, as a brother, perceive all things, every event and circumstance in our lives as beneficial and good, as kindly and as good. So there's something that you're struggling with currently, but you're not seeing it as beneficial, good, helpful. So we look on everyone as a brother or companion. Perceive all things as kindly and good, as beneficial and good. Do not seek a function that is past the gate of heaven or the state of pure formless awareness. Knowledge will return when we've done our part. We are concerned only with giving welcome to the truth. So just give welcome to that truth now, breathing it in too. So we give welcome to the truth, breathe it in. There's no resistance, just accept the truth as true, accept this pure formless awareness. Perfect love is your true reality. Ours are the eyes, through which Christ's vision sees the world redeemed from every thought of sin. Ours are the eyes through which our true self's vision sees the world freed from every thought of sin. So we look with different eyes upon the world. Because the truth is, we don't see with our eyes, we see with our minds. We perceive with either the ego or the Holy Spirit. So ours are the ears that hear the voice. For God, with perfect love, proclaim the world as sinless or innocent. Ours are the minds that join together as we bless the world. And from the oneness that we have attained, we call to all our companions, all our brothers, asking them to share our peace and consummate or confirm our joy. So just breathe in this joyful feeling. It's always there. Joy is always there, just waiting for you to tap into it, to acknowledge it, download it, bring it into your mind. So we are the holy messengers of God, the holy aware messengers of perfect love, who speak for it, carrying his word or this message to everyone whom it is sent to us. We learn that it is written on our hearts. So as we give perfect love, we speak and we act with kindness, loving kindness, then we learn that it's ours, it's written on our hearts. So we have it. So we don't lose by giving, we gain by giving. We gain our true self, we gain our source. And we experience happiness, peace, and joy as a result. And so our minds are changed about the aim for which we came and which we seek to serve. Minds are changed about the aim for which we came and choose to serve. So choose to serve this aim and this aim alone. It's the aim of the at-one-ment, to become at one with who you really are, your true self, and at one with everyone else. We bring a happy message or glad tidings to the Son of God. Happy message to the extension of perfect love, which thought it suffered, thought we suffered. Now is he redeemed, so now we are free. Not sometime in the future, but right now. And as he sees the gate of heaven stand open before him, so as we become more and more aware of the state of pure formless awareness within us, we will enter in. He will enter in and disappear into the heart of God. So translated, we will enter fully into it, into the state. And our separated self-concept, our ego, will disappear in this pure formless awareness of perfect love. So then just surrender into this state of perfect love. A few moments, feeling it, experiencing it. Remember, the whole idea of the words is to point you into the state. To go beyond intellectual understanding into a non-intellectual experience. If you need a bit more help to do that, here's today's lesson. So, again, breathing in, nice deep breath in, and say, my sinless brother is my guide to peace. So my innocent companion is my guide to peace. When I see people as innocent, then that will bring me peace. That's what Yeshua is saying very clearly. And my sinful brother, if I see sin in my brother, so my sinful companion is my guide to pain, in which I choose to see, I will behold. Which I choose to see, I will perceive. So it's a choice. Irrespective of how someone's behaved, you still have a choice as to how you perceive them. That's your only remaining free choice in this world. Freedom to choose how you will perceive things, what you will believe. No one can take that away from you. It's your divine responsibility. So exhale on the truth of that. Have a sense of just blowing out any dark thoughts related to people's sin, guilt. Maybe you want to just bring up any situations you're struggling with currently. Maybe there's a person or people in your life who are difficult, problematic. Contemplate on that, breathe in, feel the energy, whatever that sinful energy is. You're judging them, condemning them. There's resentment, there's attack thoughts, maybe you're fearing them. Just observe all of that in your mind, observe how it shows up in the body, breathe into it. And now you're going to exhale. Just blow it all away. The breeze of your breath to the nothingness that it really is. Just letting it all go. So, and just listen to these words. And commentary on this lesson. So, who is my brother? Says Yeshua, but your Holy Son. Who is my companion, but your holy aware extension? And if I see him sinful, I proclaim myself a sinner. If I see her sinful, I confirm to myself that I am a sinner, not an extension of perfect love, not a son of God, but a sinner, alone and friendless in a fearful world. Is this really a choice that I want to make? So just be honest with yourself. Is anyone you're holding a grudge towards, you thinking about them that they're sinful, they're guilty? Just notice what that does to your mind. What you're confirming to yourself is that you're not actually love, but you're a sinner, just like the person you're condemning, alone and friendless in a fearful world, doomed to suffer and die and never find love. So you're condemning yourself to that fate by judging them. Do you see how that works? And yet this perception is a choice I make and can let go of. I can also see my companion as innocent and as your holy aware extension. And with this choice, I perceive my own innocence, my eternal comforter and guide beside me. This is the Holy Spirit or remembrance of love. And my way home, clearly and certainly. My way secure and clear. So then choose for me, my Father, my source. For it alone, your voice alone judges everything in your name, gives judgment in your name. Or it alone judges everything from the perspective of perfect oneness. So you're asking for guidance in judging, correct judgment, evaluating truly, sorting out the false from the true, which is the Holy Spirit's job. Asking for guidance in that. So just exhale again and just surrender in. To this loving awareness. Place where you accept only the truth, the innocence, sinlessness, as Yeshua calls it. It's the total innocence of your being and everyone else. You see, you can't have someone being guilty and then others being innocent. It doesn't work that way. We're either all innocent or we're all guilty. That's your choice in every situation. Simple choice. Between realities, selves, thought systems. Do you want the thought system of the world, a self-concept that's separate, limited, alone, afraid, constantly seeking pleasure and avoiding pain, ultimately doomed to suffer and die? So that's the ego. Or do you want a self-concept tells you that you're one self, one with all of your brothers, your companions, one with your source, one with all life. And this is an essence that cannot be threatened. Nothing real can be threatened. Just surrender into this innocence for a couple of minutes of deep silence to close the meditation. There's nowhere else to go, nothing else to do, nothing else to think about. Just breathe, relax, be still, surrender into stillness and the silence and the innocence. That is your true nature for the next couple of minutes of deep silence. Just watch your breath. The breath just breathe you in and out through the nose to help you do that. Just keeping your mind very empty, open, clear, and aware, not thinking. So that focusing on the breath helps you just to open to this deep state of awareness. Pure formless awareness of perfect love. Let that arise in your heart, in your mind, in your being for the next couple of minutes of deep contemplative silence. And so just gently coming back from this deep state of awareness, bringing your mind back into an awareness of the body and the breath and the senses and the world. And on the count of 3, you're going to open your eyes. So 1, just breathing in, noticing how the stomach rises and the chest rises, and the subtle flow of air in through the nostrils. And just pausing at the top of the inhale. You smile. Scan your mind again. Just notice any thoughts, any emotions, which often show up as body sensations. So notice showing up in your body, any negativity, often show up as tension, tightness somewhere, uncomfortable feeling. Just breathe into it if that's there. Remind yourself of today's lesson. So often it's connected with the idea of sin, projecting sin onto someone else. So my sinless brother or my innocent companion is my guide to peace. And my sinful brother or my sinful companion is my guide to pain. Which I choose to see, I will perceive. So remind yourself that it is a choice. It's up to you what you want to see, irrespective of what that person has said or done. Still your choice as to how you see them. That's the only remaining freedom you have in this world. And so make the choice once again, just to let it go. Letting go of those beliefs in sin and guilt, fear and attack. An already awful thought system that enslaves you and the whole of humanity. And just being willing to free yourself from that. And blow it all away. On the count of 2, notice the air flowing out, chest and the stomach sucked back in, the energy you raised up into the crown of your head subsides back down to the lower stomach and the groin. So noticing the weight of your body down there, pressing down into the chair, your feet touching the ground. Noticing what you are feeling and touching. Maybe there's a subtle taste in your mouth, a smell in your nose, notice that. And notice what you're hearing in the surrounding environment. Just noticing all these things from this very still, calm, and surrendered state of mind. Without attachment, without judgment. It's just an awareness streams through. So you stay rooted in this awareness and you're guided by perfect love. It means no, not judging from your conditioned mind. So we're going to practice that now with your eyes, which is the most dominant sense for most people. So on the count of 3, open your eyes and just take a minute to look around. So just noticing various objects in the room around you. Just focus on any object at random for a few seconds. Notice that if you're not naming it and judging it and labeling it, then actually you have the same awareness as you had when your eyes were closed. Nothing's really changed. Still that same peaceful awareness. Then move on, look at another object for a few seconds. Just observe that. Notice it's the same awareness. Do that for half a dozen objects. Just randomly scan the room. And if you're doing the exercise correctly, you'll notice that just exactly the same awareness underlies every sense perception. So it's training your mind that awareness is the foundation. That's the truth of your mind, and all of the judgments about the apparent separate things, people, places, events, circumstances that we make are false. Because there's only one singular awareness actually behind it all. And the movements of the mind are then revealed as false illusion, Maya, the covering of illusion over this awareness. If you're aware of this, while you're actually able to operate in the world, that's the state of being in lightened, and you can actually be very effective, very functional in the world in that state, because you don't get upset, you don't get angry, and if a situation occurs you need to deal with, you can actually deal with it without any of those negative emotions distorting your perception and then affecting your words and your actions. So it's really a highly effective state to operate in. That state is to be miracle minded, or to be in the flow of life, which is the benefit of this kind of practice. You can get more into flow. Things are less stressful, less difficult. It's a great problem-solving technique, this course, because it teaches you how to do these miracles, which change your mind at a fundamental level, and then that tends to change the situation in these kind of profound, synchronistic, miraculous ways. So that brings us to the end of the meditation. So I'm just going to open it up now. Anyone got any comments or questions? Talk briefly about the Art of Letting Go course and program if you want to hear about that. Because as I said, there's an offer to join us on that journey, a free trial. Might actually just show you. That might be a good idea. Let me show you the hero's journey, because it's quite applicable. So hero's journey. Diagram. There we go. So we want. So there's the hero's journey diagram. Can everyone see that? Yeah, so just to conclude the session, I'm just going to talk briefly about this. So tonight, if you knew you had a little call to adventure, you showed up. Hopefully you got something that was interesting, more than interesting, maybe quite profound. The question is, will you listen to that and be willing to take the journey out of the known world? So hero's journey came from a guy called Joseph Campbell, who looked at all the different myths and legends of the world, and he found that there was one myth, one common archetypal pattern, which occurred over and over in all these different myths and different cultures, traditions. And he called it the hero's journey. And it starts with a call to adventure. So it's usually something that comes into your known world that is a little bit different. That's an invitation to journey out of the known world. That doesn't mean you necessarily take a physical journey. It's a journey out of the known world of your beliefs, perceptions, existing thoughts, beliefs, values, perceptions, and maybe that's happened tonight. There's something that's calling you out of the known world of the ego into an unknown world, and then you will get resistance. So the ego has its threshold guardians, because part of your mind that doesn't want to do this, so that often shows up as seemingly external obstacles. So you don't have the time, you don't have the money, other people think you're going to be weird, this kind of thing. Okay, Kim, thanks for joining us. See you soon, I hope. But the heroes continue. They break through the threshold. They're willing to go through that barrier, and they make a choice to step into the unknown and continue. And that's the choice to really know thyself, is the injunction on the oracle, on the Temple of Apollo, which is where the Oracle of Delphi resided in ancient times. Know thyself. So this is the journey of knowing yourself, which isn't an easy one, because there's many difficulties, obstacles caused by this ego entity that doesn't want you to know yourself. So on the journey, you have mentors, helpers, guides who come along, and they give you help when you need it. You get the challenges and temptations, but those make you those test your faith, they test your belief. And if you keep going, which is, really getting through these, means you let them go and you transcend them. And eventually that takes you into what's called the abyss. It's called the dark night of the soul. It's a death, a spiritual death of the ego, and the rebirth into your true self, which universally in many spiritual traditions seems to be the case, that you have to go through this death and rebirth. It's not pretty when it's happening, but what it does is it allows you to genuinely transform. So your mindset has changed. You're no longer a separate self. You no longer believe in that old self concept, and you are a transformed human being, more being than human, realizing that you are really one. And the at-one-ment is the realization that you're one with your source, the source of all life and love, and the source of everyone else's life and love. So then you return, having done that journey, and you return into the known world with these gifts, which are not usually physical gifts, or so sometimes in the myths they can be. Something, a hero comes back with a shield or a trophy of some sort. But actually the gift is what you know, is what you've gained on this journey about yourself. And then you bring that back into the known world of your society to try and help people, other people, to undertake their call to adventure. And that's the universal archetype. It's the journey I've been on. This art of letting go is a result of this process that I went through myself, and I'm now returning with this knowledge and putting it into a form that's hopefully useful, makes it useful and accessible for people to take their own journey and help them to take this journey, which is really the purpose of our lives. This is the curriculum, universal curriculum he talked about, is the journey. It's a required course. The required course is the journey. So this is another form of the journey. There's many forms, there's many spiritual paths, but in my view, I wouldn't be teaching this if I didn't think this. This is hugely profound. It's got the greatest depth of any teaching I've come across. It's similar to the non-dual teachings of Advaita, but it has an understanding of psychology in the mind that I haven't found in those teachings. The understanding of guilt, sin, how the mind works, the individual identity, this whole descent into hell. This is all pretty unique to A Course in Miracles, the understanding of how the world came about. So in my view, it explains the whole thing, explains the whole picture, and tells you that it all comes down to your decision as to which self you're going to be, which voice you're going to listen to. So it brings it into the very personal domain, this individual interior aspect of your mind, which is the only place where transformation can happen. It's never going to happen outside of you. Trying to change things just on the level of form with behavior has never worked. It's about a fundamental change of mind. Behavior changes accordingly, and that's what we call change of life or transformation when that happens. So this is a transformational process. It will take you on this hero's journey from the call to adventure all the way through the death of the ego, the rebirth into your true self, and then the return as a very different kind of person, a different human being. And so, I've been through that process myself. I can guide you through it. And Yeshua, who's our ultimate teacher, has done that process to the point where he's no longer human. He's transcended the need to do this, but he can guide us on the journey. So he's one of the helpers and the guides that are showing you, supernatural aid, helpers, guides that can help us through the challenges and the temptations and the trials to ultimately awaken to our true selves, who we really are. And it would be my great honor and privilege to guide you on some of that journey. So we're starting this one-year program which studies the entire Course in Miracles, which is here, a very big thick book, 365 daily lessons. There's a text which is about 670 pages, manual for teachers, which is an FAQs that's about 90 odd pages, plus some supplements. So if you chunk it down, you study a lesson a day, and you break the text into sections, it's about a year's program, which we're just coming to the end of, restarting again 5th of February. So if this calls you, you feel like this could work for you, this is what you need in your life right now, then the invitation is to join us on the journey. Who's here? Elaine's already, Christine, Elaine, you have all joined. I'll be facilitating and guiding it. And you have Vino and Lee. If you'd like to join us, you're most welcome. It's a 3-week free trial, which you can start anytime. You could start tomorrow, so there's 2 weeks to go before the course, or you could wait until the 5th of February and then start it then and do your first 3 weeks in the actual course. So effectively I give away half of the way of structure is a 6-week course called The Art of Letting Go, which happens, and that's the first 6 weeks of the 1-year program, which is a kind of a standalone course. I started the program with that. It has a lot of benefit just in itself, but at the end of it you might want to continue, because it's the introduction to A Course in Miracles. We only do the first 35 lessons, the first 5 chapters of the text. So you've got a taste for it, and then if you like to continue, we carry on and do it the whole year. So let me just open it up. Actually, any questions? Vino, Lee, any questions on any of this?
No, I'm good. Thanks. Anna.
Yeah.
I appreciate your
Okay.
time. Thanks.
Okay. Would you like to? I know you think you did a free trial before, but I'm happy to extend that same offer to you again. You'd like to do it again?
I would appreciate doing it when you're actually doing the course instead of me jumping in halfway, because like I said to you previously, it was a bit weird for me to jump in halfway because I didn't actually have any clue what was happening.
Then starts on the 5th. Start on the 5th of
I
February.
would appreciate that.
Yeah. So you have 3-week free trial. If you're up for it, start then. I'll be communicating via email, text message closer to the time. There's daily live sessions. So maybe I'll just show you quickly just a couple of slides on this. So let's just bring up the correct slides where we I can talk a lot about this, but really it's experiential. So I just advise you to dive in, just go for it, and see how it works for you in the first 3 weeks. So that's the one I wanted. So this will just give you some of the logistics. So dates and times, you're looking at Sunday the 5th of February to Sunday the 19th of March. So it's 43 days to be precise. Sunday for 7 Sundays, and then Sundays is when we do a lot of the group work. So Sundays are particularly important. You need to get the most out of it, need to be available for live sessions on Sunday afternoons. So these are the times. You'll be looking at live online meditation and discussion sessions from Monday to Friday, and Sundays at 7:30 a.m. So that's going to be 6:30 your time, Lee, which is early morning, but maybe that works for you. So 12:30 UK time, 2:30 South African time. So those happen 6 days a week, and then Monday to Friday there's an evening session when we'll be focusing on the text of A Course in Miracles. So that's going to be from 7 p.m. UK time. I think I said 6:30. I think we'll make it 7, maybe just half an hour later. So 7 p.m. UK time. That's 1 p.m. Central Standard Time, I think, Lee, and 9 p.m. South African time for an hour to an hour and a half. Be a bit shorter in the afternoon. So you don't have to join all those live sessions, but they're all happening. They're available. The recordings will be available to you. So if you don't get to the live one, you can listen to the recording. The idea is to listen to as much of it as possible. Give yourself an immersion experience, so that the stuff starts to really, immerse in you and make sense. And that's a key factor. If you just spend half an hour a week, then the level of transformation is going to be limited. But if you can do daily sessions listening, I give you meditations to do every day, you've basically the 3 weeks is to figure out for yourself, okay, can this work for me? Can I make this work, fit it into my schedule, do these kinds of spiritual practices and still do, whatever else you have to do. We've all got other responsibilities, work, home, family life responsibilities, and so on. Can I fit that in? And if it works for you after 3 weeks and you want to continue, then in week 3 we go into a profound transformational process. It's about helping you to see what your ego's game is, like what your ego is, and uncover it, reveal it through a group exercise, and then work with you to turn it around. So every week we follow on the fourth Sunday, we do that. And the next Sunday is flipping your flop, turning it around. Following Sunday is finding your true values as a result of that. And the final one is your higher purpose. So it all follows. It's a very deep, profound transformation process, which I take you through. So you get a personal experience. That's what it comes down to. It's not theoretical enlightenment. It's your own personal shift and transformation that happens over that 6 weeks, and you come out a different person. And from that point, you then you may decide to continue the journey with us or not. It's up to you. But I couldn't not continue because there's a whole 1 year's worth of content. So it's a 1-year program which you can continue with. So unlike a lot of courses, you don't get dropped off the course and go, okay, well, bye then, and see you sometime. There's actually ongoing support that can help you to integrate those insights that you got in the course and help you to really start living them and deal with ongoing challenges, because the hero's journey is ongoing. Life continues to challenge you. You get those challenges and temptations, especially on this side of the circle, as you can see, and then this teaching helps you to deal with it. And there's live sessions happening every day. So after the 6 weeks, we revert to 1 live session a day, which will generally be in the afternoon. And you can join that if you're a full member. Join that, and this ongoing help, guidance. It's effectively like group coaching happening every week. So I'm just going to share a bit of a couple of other things, the structure, and then there is a cost. I'll be totally upfront about that. I'll tell you what that is as well, if you want to continue beyond the 3-week free trial. So explore the theory behind the course is the week 1. We do the introduction, so it's theory. We read and discuss the first chapter of the text. We work through exercise 1 to 3 in the course manual. Study and apply the first 7 pathways to higher consciousness. Learn and practice 7 fundamental breathwork techniques. So there's actually a breathwork course in the first week, which I've just kind of thrown in because we use it a lot in the meditation. So it's useful to understand those fundamental techniques. And then in weeks 2 to 6, we work through the text and the workbook. So that's 35 lessons of the workbook of the Course in Miracles, chapters 2 to 5 of the text. We work through exercises 4 to 12 in the Art of Letting Go course manual. Study and apply the last 5 pathways to higher consciousness. And we finish off with a very powerful process called holotropic breathing. So that's just a general overview and summary. There's quite a lot of content, but I've tried to make it as easily accessible for you as possible. So I break it down day by day. You get Telegram messages and you get email messages. Those are the 2 communication mediums. So you can use whichever one you prefer. The email is more comprehensive. There's a lot of tools and resources and a daily schedule. Perhaps I'll just show that to you actually. You've already seen the first part of it. Just disappeared. That's sometimes what happens. So apologies for that. Let's just go into that. So view entire message. And let's just reset it. So there's an example of the email. There's always a bit of a teaching. There's often some diagrams, some other quotes, and then that leads you quite nicely into the daily lesson. If you click on any of these, all clickable links, there's the document that we read from, which has the lesson with the translations in it. So, it's all at your fingertips, whether you prefer email. If you prefer email, then, it's all here in an email for you. The details about the live sessions, and then there's a daily schedule as well. Recommend a daily schedule with some resources. So click that. It's going to open up a meditation for you. So you could listen to that every morning. And then following on from the course, there's a process that I recommend you do. Go through your essence statement and your core values. Say the helpfulness prayer from the Course in Miracles text aloud. Read your statement of higher purpose. So you do some spiritual practice, and I've given you the material and some recordings to help you with that, so that you get into a nice routine of just reinforcing this this true self that you've discovered. And there's a half-hour meditation there. So hello and welcome. Click that. That'll help you to practice the lesson. Shorter breath breaks. So the idea is to do it in a longer practice every day, and then a shorter one as well. Shorter ones frequently during the day, hence the short recording. So I give you all these tools and resources every day. There's a different meditation, a different breath break for that particular lesson. It's all available, accessible in your ideal daily schedule, as well as reminders about the sessions and links to, like, if you click this, that'll take you into this live session. It'll take you into the live stream of the session. Tools and resources every day. There's a different method. So you see it. It'll click you. Try to make it the stuff as easily accessible as possible. There's a reading for the text reading. We've actually finished the text, but I'm just picking random bits from the text to read in the last couple of weeks. And then do the meditation again, or if you don't have time for a long one, do a short one before bed. An end of day reflection process, a power sleep track to help you sleep. So very comprehensive. There's a lot of resources here. At any point in the day, if you're not sure what to do, you can dive in there and there'll be something for you. Or you may prefer the Telegram. So Telegram is the same content to start with, but just doesn't have all the resources and ideal daily schedule and stuff. So you might prefer that. You've got the images, the text, links to recordings, and I send you the recordings of those meditations and breath breaks, as well as the document. The beauty of Telegram, just so from a technical point of view, is you don't have to download anything onto your phone. So this doesn't have to clog up your phone. It actually streams from the server, which is a huge advantage over WhatsApp, because WhatsApp, it actually downloads to your phone, and then what ends up happening is it clogs people's phones. So that won't happen. You just click it if you want. It doesn't actually download unless you choose to download it, and you just stream it from the internet, and you listen that way. So it's not intensive on your phone, which is why I use it as opposed to WhatsApp. So if you haven't got Telegram and you'd like to join us, then I suggest sign up to Telegram. It's a free app. You install it, and I can add you to this group, ALG Club members, so that you can get the material from when your free trial starts. Let's just go back to my presentation. Just talking about the value first, and there obviously is a financial value to this. Huge amount of value in the tools, in the key spiritual practices, which I'm happy to go through if you'd like me to. But I've just summarized it in one slide. You're getting a letting go meditation power pack. I normally sell for £10. You're getting an information exercise pack, which I'd probably sell for £19 because it's so profound that you've just seen. But I don't hold on to any of this stuff. There we go. That's the course pack. It's all freely given in the free trial, so you can try it. Because I know that if this catches you, then you're probably going to want to continue and join us on an ongoing basis. And that, that does happen a lot of the time. There's a lot of extra material. If you want to go into the back of the Telegram group, and there's a Facebook group, which we don't use very much anymore, actually, but there's a whole lot of archive material there if you don't get enough during the actual course. So it's a lot of values are packed into there, but obviously I realize no one's going to pay that. So it's heavily discounted. There's also an early bird discount still valid for a couple more days. If you want to dive into this early bird special, £147, you get a money back guarantee on that. So whether you do a 3-week free trial or you dive in and get a money back guarantee doesn't really make a difference. The only difference is that this is a special as of in a couple of days time. Tuesday, it's the early bird thing is going to be available. So if you come to pay the fee, it'll be more after 3 weeks, if you understand what I mean. 3 weeks when your free trial ends, then the amount will be slightly more. So there's an incentive to do it now, but if you don't want to, you can just join on a free trial, give it a go, and then decide 3 weeks into the program, having thoroughly tested it, trialed it, and then that you're getting the value. So that is in rand terms, £147, which is somewhere around $160-70 or 2,970 rand. So those are the amounts. It's about a 95% discount to value. In terms of the 1-year program, it's just taking the 6-week course, and then along the same lines, we do daily online meditations, online discussion sessions. There's all the recordings. So I try to sort of price it reasonably. £10 for an online session per hour that's what's been commonly charged, and then a pound for the recordings. And so if you add all that up, it's a huge value. Again, I'm not going to charge that, but just to indicate, what's there. So normally 90% discount, but I'll give you an early bird discount, upfront payment discount. If anyone wants to commit on that, that's a special price again, until I've said Monday. What are we today? Yeah, till this Monday. So the end of Monday, so beginning of Tuesday. That's available to you. But if you'd like to do the course first, do the free trial, do the course, and then decide whether to commit for the whole year, that's quite understandable. So, but some people just go, yeah, I'm up for this, I'll do it. So, so those, if you want to continue, that's the sort of so that's what you're looking at, which tried to make as reasonable as possible. It's compared with what's available in the market. You can spend £250 on a weekend workshop quite easily, online workshop. I think it's I'm trying to make it very reasonable, because I want people to do it, and I want you to continue doing this, and if it's too expensive, you won't. So it's really about facilitating transformation and doing it at a affordable price. It also allows me to run the business sustainably. Okay, so any questions on that? I've spoken a lot. I'll shut up now for a bit. Let's ask anyone for comments, questions. Lee, Vino, anything I haven't covered, anything you want to know about the program, the course, how it works?
I think you've covered it quite well, Jonathan.
Okay. Would you like to join us for the
I'll just a few more sessions and see how it goes.
Okay, so you'd like to join the free trial? That's
Yes.
what I'm saying. Yeah. Okay. Do you want to wait until the course starts on the 5th of February, or dive in now? Because we're doing these sessions every day. So from tomorrow you can join every day for the next 2 weeks.
Okay. Depending on my availability, maybe I should just dive in immediately.
Okay, if that resonates with you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
So what I'll do then is I'll add you to the, are you on Telegram? I think you said you were.
I am, yes.
Yeah, so I'll add you to the Telegram group tonight, and then also the mailing list.
Thank you.
I've got your email address, haven't I? I've got your email
Yeah,
address.
I think Christine gave it to
Yeah.
you.
So I'll add that to the mailing list. So you get an email like this every morning.
Okay.
So you just open your email. I'll send you via Telegram. I think I might have. Did I send you that email instructions for whitelisting?
Yes.
I did.
No, not email. I got it on WhatsApp.
On WhatsApp, yeah. So if you whitelist my email address using those instructions, then you'll make sure you get my emails, because otherwise they can go into promotions or spam. So if you don't find them, then look. You use Gmail, don't you? So then look. Let's go back to the inbox. So you've got promotions and you've got social.
Yes.
So then look at promotions, or it'll probably be in promotions, or it'll be in spam.
Okay.
So you can
Okay.
click on either of those, and then once you found an email of mine, whitelist it using the instructions that I've given you, and then you tell Gmail that this is what you want it to go into your primary inbox.
Okay.
Then it'll
Thank
show
you.
up in your primary feed every day. I send it out in the morning, so you've got your material for the day, and it's also on Telegram. So some people prefer Telegram because it's just like, oh, there it is, I can read it and I can just tap and listen on my phone. But you know, the idea of the trial is just work it out and see what works for you.
Thank you.
See what works for you. Yeah. So yeah, welcome aboard, and you'll start tomorrow. So that's 2 weeks, and then you'll have a week in the course. So you'll and then, you know, after that I think everyone knows you know whether you want to continue or
Yes.
not at that point. Okay. So Lee said thank you. Yeah. Any other questions? Christine, Lee, Aurelie, you're all quite new. Elaine, on the course, that you're not anything you're not sure about, anything you want to ask?
So yeah, Jono, just to be clear, so as part of the Art of Letting Go program, you will incorporate it into the lessons of the Course in Miracles. Is that what you said, right?
Yes. So there's 365 mind training lessons, which are based on the Course in Miracles workbook lessons.
No, I'm talking about the 6-week program.
Yes. Yeah. So we do the first 35 lessons of the workbook. Let's just go back to that slide. Might help. So there we go. I was going to go structure.
Oh, okay, sorry. Yes.
Yeah. So first we do the first 5 chapters of the text in detail. So in the evenings we'll do the text, in the afternoons we'll do the lesson and any other teaching. So that's how it's going to be split, because you just can't do it all in one session. It's too much.
Yeah.
So we split it into 2, so you know which is which. Then evenings are text, afternoons are workbook and any other teaching. So if we're looking at things like the 7 pathways to higher consciousness, which is very similar to A Course in Miracles, that's in your course manual over here. I'll just show you. Then you know that this 10-step letting go process, all the stuff we go through in the afternoons.
Okay.
I'll do a session on each one, so you know it's quite comprehensive, and then I'll walk you through all of it. So basically it's a walk through this course manual. I don't just give it to you and say, okay, we'll just read it and apply. It's like we actually do a session on it. You can join in live, you can ask questions, you can experience this in a meditation that I guide live. I ask you to work through it as part of the coursework in in writing. It's facilitated and guided for you, and if you stick to the process, Lee's got to go. Okay, looking forward to joining you in February. Great, thank you, Lee. Yeah, looking forward to having you on the program. So there's quite a lot of other teachings, but corollary teachings, supportive teachings, that are the main thing is A Course in Miracles, but like understanding the integral model can really help in understanding what he talks about a miracle. You know, he's talking about these, he talks about the world. Well, that's the exterior domain of reality. And then the mind is the interior. And so it just helps you frame it, understand it better. And that's why I've included these in these other tools. And there's the pathways for consciousness I was looking for. So very similar to Course in Miracles, you know, along the same lines, just a different language. And I've had great feedback on these. People say, no, it's very, very helpful. So I've incorporated them. So there's a lot in this course to do, and you can really immerse yourself. You could spend hours and hours and hours a day if you want to, or you can spend an hour to 2 hours a day. You know, I'd say try and commit a minimum of an hour to 2 hours to really get benefit. Ideally doing a live session a few times a week, and make sure you don't miss the Sunday sessions, because that's when you're going to do the experiential transformation. So these exercises. Okay, Christine's got to go. Thanks, Christine, for joining, and thank you for referring Avino. I'm very grateful to you for that. So we'll be in touch. Yeah, join us tomorrow if you can. So once you get to where are we? Exercise. So this is the transformational exercises that I guide you through.
So those will be on Sunday.
Yeah, so we'll actually work through these on Sundays. Some of them, like these ones, you can kind of have a go on your own, but we'll do a session on it and we'll talk about it, and I'll help you kind of, sometimes people struggle, so I'll help you get the answer if you're struggling. So this is like preliminary. The first 3 weeks we do the preliminary stuff, just exercises and perception. And then in week 4, we start the main stuff, which is working through this naming your game exercise. And that's then everyone's committed. Like you need to be not on a free trial. That's like you're serious, you've committed, you're in this. It's not an easy process, but it's very profound, very, very deep transformation. It's getting to the core. What you want to get to is the core self-concept. You know, what is your core belief about yourself? And if you can identify that, that's hugely valuable, because then you can bring it into conscious awareness and you can turn it around. And that's not that easy to find. Most people don't know what it is.
But have we not
Right.
have we not worked through that in the session we did already before? That session we did.
Yeah, I mean it's it's some of the same stuff certainly will come up. But it comes up in a different way, and you find, well, okay, maybe it's still there. You know, I haven't got rid of it.
Okay.
So it's about highlighting what you still need to work on, and that's shown to you in the exercise. You know, it's a group exercise, so it's shown to you very directly in the exercise what your stuff is, and that creates the raw material to then work through that and turn it around. So we do a drawing yourself process where, you know, we draw it to just explore it, and then turning it around, finding your true identity. So you can only do that when you found your flop. Your flop is your fundamental life operating program, the ego's core belief. You can only turn it around once you found it, identified it. So it's an iterative process. You need to have done these sessions. If you miss this session, then it's going to be very hard for you to catch up. So don't miss the session. Just join make a plan to join on the Sundays, especially the last 4 Sundays are very important, because that's when all this key transformational work happens. We work through this, and then afterwards I say, okay, we'll go work through the exercise. You know, go actually write in your manual and do it. But in the transformational sessions, you know, a lot of the transformation actually happens real time. And I facilitate. That's amazing. You know, if you're in the energy, you'll see. It's amazing.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Amazing what happens. Even virtually, it's not quite as powerful as live, because I've obviously done this live, but in person. But it's up there because it's an energy. You know, people are in an energy that happens here, and it's a transformational field, and you see people shifting, and then that helps. If you see someone shifting, that helps everyone. It's like, wow, I can see, you know, that I can see the ego being exposed. I can see it shifting real time, and that's quite amazing to watch. That's, you know, miracles in action.
Yeah,
and then,
I've
you know,
actually
we look at
one of David's retreat in South Africa, and was very experiential, and it was very
Mm.
powerful and very profound just to be in that peaceful presence. Yeah.
Mm. Okay. Did
Yeah.
you do his retreat in 2014?
Yeah, I think it was 2014. You're right.
Okay. Yeah. You came to Moorfield.
Sorry?
You were at Moorfield, were you? Where did you go? Did you go to the one in Cape Town?
In Constantia.
Okay. You went to the one in Cape Town, yeah. Okay. Yeah. That goes way back. I was involved in organizing the whole thing.
Oh, okay.
I didn't do the Cape Town leg because it was too far, but he came up to Johannesburg and
Oh, okay.
then they went, the final one was at Moorfield, which is great. It was a place in Drakensberg.
Oh, okay. No, I didn't know about that one.
Yeah. Well, you did the one in Cape Town, so.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, any other questions? Aurelie, Vino, Elaine?
No, thank you so much. Thank you. I also have to go now, but thank you very much. It was really
Yeah,
beautiful.
well, hopefully, it was gives you a bit more clarity on what the process is. And so just, just go day by day. I send you what you need to do and just try and immerse yourself and try and give as much time to it as you can. If you can spend hours a day, then do, because you'll get that's a huge investment in yourself.
Yeah.
If you can only manage an hour or two, then okay, that's what you do. So it's it's very flexible. You can spend as much or as little time as you like on it, but obviously the more you put in, the more you get out.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
All right, Aurelie. So I'll see you in the week, I hope.
Yeah.
And we'll speak.
Yeah. Thank you. Bye, everyone.
All right. Bye. And there's just Elaine. So Elaine, any questions?
Yeah, no, I'm fine. I was just going to say I'll have to take the dogs now as well. Yes. So thank you for a good session there. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Great.
Okay. So
see you in the week. See you tomorrow, maybe. We'll
tomorrow. Yes. Yeah, that'll be. Yeah.
Okay.
See
we'll do a session at 12:30, I think.
Great. Lovely. Okay. See you then.
Okay.
Bye.
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 Namaste.
Namaste.
All right, so that brings us to the end of the session. Thanks for joining, everyone. If you're catching this on a recording, then do join us for our next masterclass live, which will be happening on Sunday next week. At the same time, it's 5 p.m. UK time, 7 p.m. South African time. You can go and register at theaolg.com. Just give me half an hour to go update it. It's still on today's one. Any questions, feel free to reach out to me. Just message me if you've got my details, or email me on jono@lifebuild.com. That's jono@lifebuild.com. And I guess that's a wrap for tonight. Thank you again to everyone who joined. Much appreciated, and hope to catch you on the inside. Namaste, which means the true, innocent, sinless self in me acknowledges and honors that same true, innocent Christ self in you.